let's start with Croke Park. And I do feel we saw a bit of a seismic moment in Irish rugby for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Beyond that, I would say, but particularly those years, Leinster have absolutely dominated club rugby, both Ireland, England, and European as well. And they just haven't managed to get over the line when it comes to a European trophy. And it did feel a bit of a moment that Leinster's fall off, at least obviously very small sample size, given we've only just started the season. But how last season finished onto this season, it does seem a bit of a big moment in Irish rugby. And it's a microcosm of the last couple of weeks. As I mentioned, Leinster had that tough start in South Africa. Prendergast had a tough start in particular. And it was basically billed this weekend as Crowley versus Prendergast in terms of the number 10 slot. And there was only one winner there. So more of that Irish 10 chat in just a second. But on the actual club season itself, before we get on to Ireland, Munster have such a massive lead over Leinster right now. If you see the table, Munster on 19 points, tied with Stormers, and Leinster all the way back at 6 points through 4 games. Leinster have lost 3 games in the URC. There's some seasons they wouldn't even lose 3 games. So there is that question, very early I know, but have they missed their opportunity to win big in their dominance era? They went into this game 16-point favourites and ended up losing by 17 points, 33-point swing on that. It's in that context, points alone, one of the biggest shocks in rugby, just given how much Munster won by. And when Leinster went 7-0 up, I think it went into the 20s in terms of what people expected to happen, or the markets did. So yeah, quite a seismic result, I think. And those small couple of defeats, I think it's been coming from Leinster. And yeah, it's just a massive shock. And onto the Irish number 10 situation in particular. Crowley's got the driving seat for Ireland. It's a massive November for Andy Farrell and getting this decision right. I think prior to the game, maybe he was going to go 2 games Sam Prendergast, 2 games Jack Crowley, number 10. I think Jack should be playing in 3 at least, and Prendergast maybe in the other one. And on the debate, because we've had so much talking about it, even last week I spoke about Prendergast, likening him to Trent Alexander-Arnold and his defending versus his tackling. And is that a quick fix? I don't think so. If you haven't managed to nail it, teams are going to target him. But even looking at Ireland, right, I think Jack Crowley starting for 60, 70 minutes and then Prendergast coming on is quite a decent solution to the out-half problem, per se. But yeah, going on to Andy Farrell, I think there is massive questions in terms of how he's handled it, how quickly he promoted Prendergast, which forced the hand of Leo Cullen to get Prendergast starting. Obviously, the likes of Harry Byrne had to go off to Bristol for a year. He's come back, looked very well, albeit again, small sample size, given it was only 1 game. But yeah, there's a lot going on with this number 10 situation and this Leinster domination situation in terms of having 21 of the 34 players in the current Irish squad. So that's 21 players from Leinster, 13 for Connacht, Ulster, and Munster. So like, he sort of pushed himself and wanted to make Ireland a club side similar to Leinster. And when you do that, and Leinster are going very well, look, over the last few years, no one's had really any issue, bar maybe a few Munster fans. But when you continue to ignore the odd Munster player, like Tom Farrell, for example, and then you end up with a squad situation that's dominated by Leinster, and suddenly Leinster start losing, and suddenly some of your decisions aren't looking great. Yeah, I'd be quite worried about this November window, and particularly given we've got New Zealand to start off with. So it's going to be an interesting month. He's already named a squad. I think the squad would have been different, even though it's only 1 game, if he'd named it after this game. But obviously they're flying out to Chicago, which is going to be a great occasion. Very interested to see that result. And then 3 games in the Aviva. It's Japan, Australia, and then the big one against South Africa. So it's a massive November, because I tweeted this out if you want to check it. But on the World Cup and what age all our players are going to be in the 2027 World Cup, it does seem quite an aging squad, or at least that starting 15 seems to be an aging starting 15. So I'm fascinated what's going to happen there, but we will see. Massive turning point, I think. And just in that dynamic between Leinster and Munster, because Munster for so long, they obviously had that famous Aviva win a few years ago in the URC semi-final against Leinster and ended up winning the URC. That seemed against the head. This one very much seemed like this team have arrived. So huge win. Fair play, Munster. It's given us a competitive season to look forward to. But I think the stuff in terms of the Irish squad with that number 10, what's going to happen, I'm quite fascinated by that. But shout out to Ulster. Managed to get a bonus point win. Massive for them. And even looking at the table, for example, they've only played 3 games. They've won all 3. bonus points in each of them. So they're going well. And Connacht, they'd be disappointed losing to the Bulls, but solid enough start. I know 1 win, 2 defeats, but they are on 8 points, so it doesn't feel like they've won 1, lost 2. They obviously have that game in hand, as well as Ulster for the postponements with the Storms last week. So hopefully we can see more competitive between the 4 provinces, and then the Irish team gets picked with the 4 provinces in mind, because I think at the moment there's too much short-termism for this Irish team. And like at the end of the day, we've never gone past the quarterfinal in the World Cup. I accept we were very unlucky in the 2023 World Cup, and Farrell deserves another crack at it, but he's got to deliver, and there's got to be more to. Let's not just throw all our eggs in winning every single game, like between now and the World Cup, 6 Nations, November International. Let's try a few things. Let's try and nail the out half situation, etc., etc.